Colleagues, good afternoon again. My watch says now 14:35. I just want to start with the meeting so that we don't waste time. I'm going to start. I'd like to welcome you all in the meeting. And then this is the last meeting for for the year, which is PLG for grade 6, Afrikaans and English. And then without any waste of time, colleagues, I'll just project my presentation here. So the presentation says English and Afrikaans PLG meeting for grade 6. Today is the 18th of August, 2022. There's my name, and then Ma'am Angelique, that is now with us now, having joined since the beginning of this term, because now remember last term and then the 2 terms before this one, we had Mr. Moa, and then now he has gone back to school. So we have Mem Mare that has joined us to help in the Afrikaans. And then there's my number there, 064 930-8263. I said, colleagues, this is the last PLG for the year. Remember, in the 4th term, we normally don't have the PLG. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be uploading these presentations from grade 4 up until grade this one. But it's the same, but the only difference is now with the grade 5 one, it has the lit vase. Now this grade 6 one has the Thanksgiving. So that will be the only difference, but prior to, over and above that, everything is the same. Now moving along now, colleagues, to our next slide is our agenda. The agenda says now we had our opening and welcome, and then we are going to have our remark, and then we are going to be looking at the vision and the mission, and then I'm going to be welcoming again, warmly welcoming other colleagues that are joining us for the first time in the teaching of the English in the grade 6. And then now we are going to be looking at the housekeeping rules, and then we are going to zoom at the learner performance stats specifically for grade 6. But if you teach in grade 4 and grade 5, you will actually have a repetition of that. And then now we are going to be looking the recap of the project and the utilization of the resources. I'm going to request that colleagues, you mute yourself because now you are disrupting. Please check if you are not muted. If you are not muted, can I request that you mute yourself because you are going to be disrupting us. And then we are going to be looking at the resource link and then the Thanksgiving recap and then the term 3 activities. And then we'll have our questions and clarity, and then we'll have our closure. So I will also emphasize the fact that I've posted the register in the chat. Please sign in the register before you leave so that we can see the people that were in the meeting so that I can have the data for our database, put you in the database for the grade 6's colleagues. That's what the register is for. And then that's what the register is helping us with. Now, moving along, colleagues, now, I've projected this remark because now it says now the kindest thing you can do for someone else is listen without forming any opinion. I never even ask as to whether you can actually see my presentation, but for the mere fact that you are quiet and not indicating that you cannot see, that simply means you can see the presentation. So I would like to speak to this quotation or connotation, colleagues, because now I've put it up for the reason that we are working with a project, which is the term 3 project. And then we find that the project is difficult for each and everyone. And then because the project is new to us, so that is why we find it difficult for all of us. So I've put this remark up so that it can help us in understanding each other, in listening to each other. If someone comes with an opinion, let us take that and then make sure that we embrace it, rather than having to spite each other by saying, now, I don't think whatever you're saying, it's true. So let us come together and then work as a team. Let us listen to one another. Let us respect one another, especially with this project of us being new. So please, I'm requesting you colleagues to say now, listen to each other, especially when you're giving each other advices, when you trying to explain how you think the project is. Let us listen to one another, because that can help at the end of the day. That is why I came up with this remark to say now we need to be kind to each other, and then we need to listen without forming any opinion, because we are not actually clued up as yet on how this project is being done. So it's still new to us. So let us listen to one another. So moving along now, colleagues, remember we will be projecting this vision and mission of us every now and then when we're having the meeting, so that we can remind one another of the mission and the vision. Remember, our vision in most cases is being driven by our mission. You need to have a vision. So after having a vision, then you'll have a mission that will drive that vision of yours. So our vision as a district is now, or as GDE is now, every learner feels valued and inspired in our innovative education system. Like now, because we are actually looking at the project, we need to make sure that we value each and every learner, because in that class of yours, you are having learners with different abilities. So you need to make sure that you value each and every learner that is in your classroom, because now how one learner learns is different from the other learner. So you need to value each and every learner that is in the classroom. Give them the necessary tool that will help them to work, despite the fact that it's a slow learner. So you need to actually value them. You need to also value the learners that are in your classroom, regardless of the color of the skin, regardless of the length of their hair. So you need to value them. And then now, valuing those learners will be driven by the mission that we have. So you are going to be giving them quality education that will equip them to have the proper education. And then I've been saying to colleagues that in grade 4, in grade 5, to say now, let us not find ourselves sitting behind our desks, sitting behind our chairs, sitting on our chairs while learners are working on that project. Because remember, the project is a difficult thing. So you need to be helping your learners at all times. So your mission must be now, you are not going to be sitting behind the chair. You are not going to be sitting on your laptops. You are not going to be sitting on your phones, working on your phones while learners are struggling. They are trying to find themselves in that project. So you are going to be helping those learners at all times. So that is the mission that you need to drive your vision with. So moving along, colleagues, now welcome. I'd like to welcome the newly appointed teachers, especially in this English and Afrikaans. I know very well that our teachers are changing every now and then. So I'm welcoming you in our team, English and Afrikaans. And then over and above, we are welcoming Mem Mare, that is actually, that has joined us in this term, because we had Mr. Moa for the 2 terms. So we are welcoming Mem Mare together with the team, the English and Afrikaans teachers that have joined us in this term. So we welcome you all, colleagues. So moving along, colleagues, now I find this very important to say now, we need to remind one another of the housekeeping rules at all times. The first one being the microphones. We have to make sure that we mute our microphones and then our cameras, because now remember, if you have the microphone on, it actually disrupts everything. And then if you have your cameras on, you are going to be running short of data, because now the camera is eating a lot of data, colleagues. So I'm requesting that at all times. I know we know all the etiquette in as far as these virtual meetings are concerned. It's just the minor mistakes that we normally do, like unmuting ourselves, not being aware. So I'll ask that we forever look at the top of our screen to check as to whether you are not muted or you are unmuted, to check as to whether your cameras are off. So you need to constantly check the top of your laptop check your phone that if you are unmuted, you can see on your mic, if there is no cross, then you must know that you are not muted. In your camera, if there is no cross, you must know that your camera is on. So I'm going to request that we do that at all times. So the second one says now questions at the end of the presentation, unless otherwise indicated. So I'm going to request that colleagues, let us ask questions at the end of our presentation so that we don't disrupt, because now if we're disrupting, we are going to lose the momentum. So write your questions on a piece of paper next to you. Then when we are done with the presentation, then we'll open up for questions. Then you'll have enough time to ask questions, and then your questions will be answered. There is a time to ask for clarity, and then you will be cleared. You are going to be getting clarity after a presentation, colleagues. The third one, it says now respect each and everyone in the meeting. Like I've indicated, if we actually leave our mic not in the mute mode, we might be disrupting. So that will actually show a disrespect. But I know very well that you are not doing that purposely. Sometimes it might be the matter of you didn't see that your browser has actually unmuted you. So even when other colleagues are in the platform asking questions, then make it a point that you are muted at all times, because now it will cause disruption. And then now at the end of the day, we might actually think or see it as being disrespectful, of which I know very much colleagues that you are not doing that purposely. Hence, I'm requesting that you must be forever looking at the top of your screen to check as to whether your mic is muted and your camera is off. So number 4, it says all members have the right to speak and needs to be listened to. Remember, in the meeting, that is why I'm requesting that let us keep our questions at the end of the presentation, because for those colleagues that are okay with everything, that are clear with everything, are at liberty to leave the meeting. And then those that needs to be cleared on something, that can remain so that they can actually speak. And then those who are remaining, they can actually be in a position to listen to whatever question or whatever clarity other colleagues are coming up with, because whatever clarity that the next person is seeking might actually help the next person. So I'm requesting that all members, you need to listen to whoever. If I'm actually asking you to leave the meeting, if you decide to sit and seek clarity, then you need to listen to the people that are asking clarity up until everybody has finished talking, up until everybody is clear with whatever needs to be clear on. The fifth one says, now let us all stay until the end of the meeting to avoid missing on important things. Let us sit up until the end of the presentation so that we don't miss on other important things. Remember, we are going to be talking about the Denkstrom. We are going to be talking about the project. So those are the things that are going to be helping you. Even though those are the recap of what we've done, but when we recap on those ones, we are going to be clear on the things that you were not clear on, as far as the Denkstrom is concerned, and in as far as the project is concerned, colleagues. That is why I'm requesting you to stay up until the end of the meeting. So the next slide is actually talking to the learner performance stats. We are projecting this, colleagues, so that we can show you on how we actually work in as far as the English and Afrikaans is concerned. We zoomed at the term 4 2021, and then the term 1 2022, and then the term 2 2022. So last term we had this, but this last term 1, this is the stats for term 1. This is how we worked at term 1. Remember, we were zooming at learners that got that work at 30%. And then learners that actually passed at 40%, and learners that passed at 50%, which is 30%, which is level 2, and level 3 and level 4. So we looked at term 4, term 1, and term 2. So this is our learners. This is where you are, colleagues. The grade 6s in the home language English, and then and the home and the file and then the Afrikaans home language, and then the FAL. So I'm going to be talking to the term 2, because now you can actually see the term 1 for 2020 and then the term 4 for 2021. So I'm going to be talking to the term 2 for 2022. So this is where your learners are. We had in the home language, we had 318 learners that passed at 30%, which is level 2. And then we had for FAL, we had 792 learners that passed at what? At 30%, which is level 2. So remember, with the home language, we're passing at what? At level 4. And then with the FAL, we're passing at 40%, which is level 3. Yes. Yeah, I'm correct. So I was just thinking to say, am I correct or not? And then now these are the learners that pass at 30% in the Afrikaans home language, and then in the Afrikaans FAL is 1070. Remember, the Afrikaans home language, it's only one school that does Afrikaans home language. That is why we have a small number here, small numbers here. So don't ask yourself, why is it 1 and 3 and 0 there? Is because now we only have one school that is still offering Afrikaans home language. Now this is the a subject average that we actually got up and after we've actually put the numbers together. So I'm actually we're projecting this so that you can see where your school is, so that you can actually up your target. Remember, as a district, we also have targets. So we are looking at where we are in as far as our targets are concerned. And then again, you as a school, you need to look at yourself to say, now, am I the one that are increasing the number of learners that are passing at 30%, or I am the one that are making the learners to fail? So you need to gauge yourself. You need to look at yourself to say, where am I? If I was having more of the learners in term 2 that pass at 30%, you need to actually make it a point that you pull up your socks to do what? To push your learners to be passing at 40%. If your learners were passing at 40%, you need to push up for your learners to pass at 50%. And then if you had the learners passing at 50%, then you need to push up for your learners to pass at what? At levels 5, at level 6, at level 7. So this is helping you, colleagues, to look at yourself, to gauge yourself, to see yourself, to ask yourself, where am I with my learners? Where am I with my school? So my school is where is it? Is it at level 3 or is it at level 2? So make it a point that to push it up to be at level 7, or to be at the level whereby you can say to yourself, now I've made it. Remember, you are not going to be actually doing this in a short space of time. Gradually, we are going to be actually focusing on putting our learners where we want them to be. Remember, what will make your learners to be pushed where you want them to be is the activities that you do at the school, is the activities that we actually do when you are given the activities, especially what? The assessment. The assessment is the one that tells you where your learners are. And then remember, your activity, your assessment have been made by what? By the activities that you are doing in the classroom. So that is why we are saying now, whatever you're doing in the classroom, make sure you do it to the best of your ability. Colleagues are talking. Colleagues, I didn't mute themselves.
The speaker is on.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am, for making that a colleague away. Thank you very much. Now moving along, colleagues.
No, it's not. How do I put the line through
Ma'am Portia, I'm gonna mute them. Don't worry, continue.
Thank you, Sesikuni. And then the marks allocation of the project, colleagues. Remember, I said this is the recap of what we did. Remember, we had a mediation of this project. So this is just a recap. I'm not going to go deeper like I did with the mediation. So in the project here, colleagues, remember the project is the one that is going to regulate your learners to say, now, how did they do at the end of the term? this is our assessment for this term. So don't get confused to say now you still have to have your control test. No, this is what you are going to be putting you are going to be capturing in your SASMs. Remember, we said now by the beginning of term of week 3, we need to stop, or we need to drop everything and then start with your project. And then we are requesting you colleagues not to rush in, making sure that you finish in 2 weeks. If you find that it's still difficult for you to finish in 2 weeks, you are still being given time to finish your project. Some of the colleagues might finish in 2 weeks. Some of the colleagues might stretch it to 6 weeks. Some of the colleagues might stretch it up until the end of whatever. So we were given a chance from the district level from the province level to say now, the beginning of week 3, we must stop with everything and start with the project. Remember, this is still new to us. Don't rush in wanting to finish this project of yours, colleagues. You need to give learners ample time to make sure that they come up with a proper things at the end of the day. So, but for those schools that are doing this project maybe for 2 weeks. So remember, this is a 2-week cycle project, but some of the colleagues might take it as up until whenever they are done, up until whenever they are satisfied with the project. So remember, it is done in term 3 in all the grades. And then for you have this, the research, which is out of 10 marks. And then we have the oral presentation, which is out of 20. And then we also have the writing, which is out of 30. And then what you are going to be capturing in the SASMs is only the research and the writing. Remember, the oral presentation, you are only going to capture it in term 4. So you don't ask yourself why there isn't any slot for capturing of the oral presentation. You are going to be treating this the same as we treated the term 1. So because remember, the term 1 only had 2 slots. Your oral presentation was only done in term 2. Same applies to this one. You start with the oral this term, but you are only going to capture it in the 4th term. So this is how the structure should be. And then remember, we said now the guidance of the teacher is so important with this regard. We need to guide your learners at all times as a teacher, but we are going to speak to that when you come to the other slides. Remember, it says now, the heading here says now, guidance of what learners need to do. Remember now, this is the project that is being done in term 3. So we're not doing any project in term 1, in term 2. We are only doing it in term 3. And then remember, the second bullet says now, learner work by herself or himself. Remember, even if we are requesting you to do this in the classroom, you need to make sure that learners work on their own. They are not supposed to be working together as a group, unless otherwise they are presenting they are presenting a song or whatsoever. But before, in the research, they are supposed to be working alone with the guidance of you as a teacher. And then at the end of the day, they are going to be doing something. As when they are doing oral, maybe they might be doing the oral in a form of a group, but they haven't started that alone, colleagues. We must be clear on that one. And then now the third one says now, not homework. You are not supposed to be given the project to your learners as a homework, because number one, remember, when you're giving that as a homework, number one, learners might not be in the position to have the resources that are required for them to have when they are at home. And then the second one is now we avoid a situation whereby the parents there at home are going to be writing the project for the learners. And then at the end of the day now, the project is not longer being done by the learner, it has been done by the parent. Remember, this is the formal assessment. You need to make it a point that happens in the classroom, that is being done in the classroom, because if you are going to be assessing learners on the project that was done at home, so you are no longer assessing the learner now, you are assessing the parents. That is why we request you colleagues to make sure that you avoid You don't give learners a project as a homework. It must be done in the classroom. The following one says now, teacher, guide or support the learner. So we requested you colleagues when we did a mediation to say now, you need to look for information for your learners. Don't ask your learners to go find information themselves. So supposing I'm making an example with a poem. So supposing your learners in grade 4 are doing a genre, or the grade 6 are doing a novel. Let me make an example with the grade 6 because this is the grade 6. So supposingly your grade 6 are doing a novel. So they have an idea of a novel. Then you as a teacher, you decide to bring different novels to the classroom. Remember, however novel is done, it doesn't matter which novel it is, as long as the learners know how to do a novel. You can bring any novel to the classroom, then they can research about that particular novel. Or supposingly now you've done the novel for a certain author with your learner, then you decide to bring different novels to the classroom, but pertaining to that particular author. It's fine, you can do that, colleagues, but as long as the genre is the same, as long as the learners in the classroom are doing the same genre, we mustn't find a situation whereby in the classroom, the grade 6 learners, you've decided as a school to do a genre which is a novel for the grade 6. And then when you bring the information to the class, you've decided now to bring a fable in the classroom. No, colleagues, you need to bring information pertaining to the novel. So meaning you need to guide learners in as far as where information is. Remember, you need to guide your learners. Put your information in different desks to say now, if you're deciding to have a novel in the classroom, show your learners that desk there, that's where you are going to be working on the research. You are going to find information pertaining to the research. And then now, this is what you are going to be doing. Now, you put the rubric on the board, and then you guide your learners according to what the rubric is asking you to ask your learners. Don't just guide your learners on something that they don't know. You also, as a teacher, need to be guided by the rubric. Make sure that whatever information you have for the research, you are being guided by the rubric that you have. Remember, I said to you, there are booklets I've uploaded the booklets after a mediating. So make sure that you open those booklets and then you check in as far as a novel is concerned, what is the rubric pertaining to that, so that you can guide your learners properly, so that you can bring the information properly to the classroom, being guided by the rubric. So I'm requesting you colleagues to make sure that the rubric is there to guide you. So I want to make an example with regards to the research. Some of the colleagues have limited information in as far as the research is concerned. Remember, in the research, you need to unpack. You need to unpack according to the what? According to the rubric. You need to unpack everything. Make sure that you understand the genre. So let me make an example to say now, in the rubric, it says now research. It says now the plot. Remember, in the novel, when writing a plot, remember in the plot of a book, the plot says now, you need to find what the beginning of the story, where the problem begins. We are talking now of the novel. Now we are unpacking the novel. No, don't find yourself having learners research about now writing only one sentence, the sentence where it says now the plot, the beginning of the problem, the one sentence there. Learners have to unpack the book that they are researching about. Learners need to unpack in the plot what is it that they need to know about the book. Remember, the plot is the summary of what the book entails. So now, the second in the plot, it says now, where your story reaches the climax. Your learners need to unpack the book there, need to write a summary of what the plot is about. The beginning, remember the plot, they say the beginning of the problem, where the problem reaches the apex, and then where the problem is solved. So that is what the plot entails. We mustn't find a situation whereby your learners only wrote 3 lines, 1 line for the beginning of the problem, 1 line for where the problem reaches a climax, and then 1 line where the problem ends. So the learners need to unpack the novel there. So make sure that you understand the plot in as far as the writing of the novel is concerned. Same applies with the story, colleagues. If you've chosen a genre for the story, you need to do that in the plot. If you've chosen the novel, you also need to do that in the plot. And minute you say a plot, you need to unpack the plot so that you understand. Hence, I said to you, choose the genre that you are familiar with, and then the genre that you as a teacher know how to do it, so that at the end of the day, learners give you what they are expected to give you, colleagues. So let us guide our learners properly. Let us support our learners. And then in the next one says now, teach the genre explicitly line by line. Remember here, I've given you example of a lesson plan on how to go about in doing the lesson, having embedded the project in. So in there it says now you need to teach teach the genre explicitly. If it means line by line, you have to do that. And then especially when it comes to the explanation of those rubrics, colleagues, you need to make sure that you explain the rubric to learners so that they understand it, because that's where the marks are, in the rubric. So make sure that you explain line by line. Make sure that when you're doing the lesson, the exemplar that we've given you, when you are reading a story to your learners, make sure that you read line by line so that learners understand. So you need to make sure that you teach the genre explicitly, like I did now with the support and guide, where you need to guide your learners in the writing of the plot. You need to explain to them explicitly, especially with the rubric. If you can master the rubric, colleagues, and then if you can master what is needed in there, then I'm telling you, you won't have a problem in explaining to your learners. But please make sure that you explain to your learners, especially these rubrics. And then I said to you, each and everything that you are doing, make sure that you give your learners the rubric. There are rubrics in each and every project thing that you are supposed to have. There is a rubric for the research. There is a rubric for the oral presentation. There is also a rubric for the writing. So make sure that you explain those rubrics to your learners before giving, or before letting your learners start with the project. Hence, we are saying don't rush the project. Take your time, because we are given time to do the rubric, to do this project of ours, because being the second time that we're doing, this is the second year that we're doing our project. Make sure that you do it properly. The last one says now, provide the resources. Remember, you need to provide the resources to your learners. If you are to take your learners to the library, make sure that you actually see them or guide them to where they will actually find whatever that you need them to find. But preferably, I said to you, colleagues, it's better for you to do this in the classroom rather than having to do this in the library. Because in the classroom, I know as a teacher, you will be having whatever you need in front of your learners. If you are actually treating a novel and then of a certain author, but different novels, you will actually put the novels in front of the learners in the 3 desks there. But if you are only dealing with one author, then you are going to divide whatever it's supposed to be divided. Supposedly, maybe the research part, you have divided it there. You have put it there for your learners to go straight to it and find it easier. So even if you have divided in your research, you've divided your aspects for your research in different tables, you have to do that. guide your learners, provide the resources, and then you need to be guided by the rubric in the research on what is it that your learners need to research on. That is why I'm saying now you need to understand the genre before you can actually choose it. But we spoke about that when we were talking about when we were actually having mediation, to say now you need to choose something that you understand. Don't just choose for the sake of choosing, colleagues. This is about you, and then this is about your learners. The next slide, colleagues, speak to you as a teacher. It says guidance to the teacher, the teacher's role in as far as the project is concerned. It says now had to teach the genre in term 1 and term 2. Remember, you are guided by what you did in term 1 and term 2. So you need to choose a genre that you as a teacher did with your learners in term 1 and term 2. And then I advise you to say now, choose the genre that you find it easier for the learners to tackle. And then as the genre that you find as a teacher to tackle. Remember, if you don't know how to do a novel, you cannot choose a genre as a novel for your learners to do as a project, because you need to know that particular genre. Choose something that you know. Don't choose something from your head. If you didn't do a dialogue, don't choose a dialogue for your learners to do. It must be a genre that you did in term 1 and term 2, please, colleagues. And then now the second one is just a repetition of that, whatever I've said in the previous slide, but I'm just emphasizing to say now, provide guidance, provide support. Remember, you have those learners with different abilities in your classroom. Those are the ones that needs to be supported. It is just unfortunate because we don't have the project for the slow learners. We don't have the project for the medium ability. We don't have for those with high ability. So your learners are mixed in the classroom. So you have to give support to each and every learner, having in mind to say now, every learner needs to feel valued in your classroom despite the level of understanding. So provide support at all times, especially those ones that are slow. You need to take them by the hands and then show them what to do. I'm not saying that you need to give them the answers, but you know your learners. You need to guide them, to support them at all times, colleagues. You know the support that I'm talking about. I'm not going to expatiate because I've actually done that in the previous slides. And then this one, it says now, provide a frame, especially in the writing. Remember, here we also have the writing at the end of the day. So you need to provide a frame for your learners to be in a position to write. Remember, in the writing as well, you still have those processes of writing. You still have to have the mind map. You still have to have the first draft, and then you still have to have the final draft. The final draft is the one that you as a teacher are going to be marking for the marks. So the marks that you got for the final draft are the ones that you are going to put in the essay SEMs. They are the ones that you are going to record. So provide a frame for your learners. Remember, we have those learners that are slow. We have those learners that are working at the slower pace, that are at a lower level. Then provide a frame. Remember, when providing a frame, don't say no, this frame is for the slow learners. The one that are achieving at a high level, you don't have to be using this frame. No, provide a frame according to your learners. You are the one that knows your learners best. So you know how are you going to be providing a frame to them. But with the grade 4s, I said now, because those are the small babies, you just have to indicate to them on how they are going to be writing. So the frame that I'm talking about, you understand what I'm talking about when I say a frame. So if it means that it is difficult for your learners to do a novel, to write that novel, to write how they understood a novel, so you can actually provide a frame to them. and then you know how to provide a frame. Remember, you are being guided by the mind map. And then I said to you now, after writing a mind map, after the mind map in the first draft, that's where you need to be providing a frame to show your learners to say, now, these are these bubbles, bubble 1 and bubble 2, that's your introduction. Then you need to provide a frame to say, now, you start the sentences there when you're providing a frame. So you need to start each and every paragraph. As a teacher, you need to start the paragraph. That's how you are going to be providing a frame to your learners. We are not going to say now you are giving them everything, but you need to provide them with something to start with, colleagues. And then now it says now provide the resources. I've actually spoken about that, spoke to that to say now provide your learners with the resources. And then you are going to be guided by the what? You are going to be guided by the rubric. And then now research, you're going to find it now. Some of the colleagues might actually look for the resources from the library. And then some of the colleagues, I know they are technologically inclined. You are going to be using your internet to find resources for your learners. So please do that. Don't ask your learners to go find resources for themselves. So you need to provide that for your learners. You need to bring that to class. Bring the library to the classroom, colleagues. That's what I wanted to talk to you about in as far as the recapping of the project is concerned. I'm going to end here with that recap, colleagues. If there are questions, then you are going to write them in a piece of a paper or in your book. And then when we are done with this, that's when you are going to be finding clarity pertaining to your questions, colleagues. So I'm going to move on now to our utilization of resources. Remember, we are given resources, colleagues. Now, let me project the resources that I'm talking about. The resources that I'm talking about are these resources that are in front of us here, colleagues. I'm going to start with the DBE workbooks. Remember, the GDE has provided you with the DBE workbooks. We are requesting you, colleagues, to use this DBE as a primary resource. Remember, when we come to school for visit, we are actually counting on how many pages did you use in as far as the DBE is concerned. And then remember, we emphasize every now and then to say now, when you use these resources, when we use these DBE books, colleagues, make sure that the DBE speaks to the learners and classwork books. Don't just give your learners the DBE to go scribble. No, your DBE needs to speak to your classwork book. So you know how to do that, colleagues. I don't have to be repeating that every now and then, but to give you a highlight is to say now, in the post listening, where your learners have to write an activity, for that to correspond with your classwork, if you want your learners to be completing the work in the DBE, you are going to first write in your classwork book, listening and speaking, and then you write the heading as it appears in the RATP, and then now you are going to say now complete page so and so in your DBE. Then your learners are going to be ruling off from the classwork. They close the classwork book, and then now they go to the DBE, and then what? And then they complete the work in the DBE page so and so. So when we come, your DBE will be speaking to the what? Will be speaking to the classwork book. I'm talking about the teachers that are teaching English at a home language level. But with the ones that are doing PSRIP, remember, the PSRIP is scripted. It actually directs you to the pages in the DBE where you are going to be finding or where you are going to be doing an activity. So you are going to be directing your learners from your scripted lesson plan to your DBE. So that's how your DBE will be speaking to your classwork book. And then with the Afrikaans one, remember we have the e-book for Afrikaans. We have that DBE for Afrikaans. So we don't have the hard copies. We are not being provided with the hard copies for DBE. But fortunately enough, we have the DBE in Afrikaans, but we don't have the hard copies. We have the e-copy of the DBE, colleagues. Now, curriculum packages. Remember, we have the curriculum tracking tools. So I want to speak to this curriculum tracking tool. Remember, we have those revised ones. the trimmed ones. We have the ones that are I'm talking to the ATP now, the RATP that is revised, that is written 2021. And then we have those other ones that are written 2021 to 2023. So that is the revised ATP that I'm talking about, to say we need to have those RATP in our files. So especially when we visit, or especially for you to actually be in a position to follow. So you need to use those RATP. So some of the colleagues might be asking to say, now, because we are doing a project, now what about the ATP? Are we still going to finish it? I forgot to mention the fact that if you are done with your project supposedly you are in week 6 now, that's where you are finished with your project, then you can go back to where you stopped with your ATP and start there, colleagues. You don't have to be starting from now week 7 and continue with it. You need to go back and then start with your ATP where you've stopped. So I forgot to mention that, colleagues. Now, coming back now to our curriculum coverages, colleagues, curriculum packages, which is the curriculum tool that I'm talking to. Now, you might have noticed with the Africans that our RATP doesn't speak to the a curriculum tool. So Memory noticed that, and she's aware of that, and she's going to be rectifying, and she's busy rectifying that RATP, the curriculum tool for us, colleagues. So she's the one that is going to be guiding you properly on how to do it. But what I've seen to she actually made mention to say, now those colleagues that are finding it, that have noticed that RATP or curriculum tool that we've given them, it's wrong, they can actually use the RATP to continue with the covering of the curriculum. So meaning you can actually put our curriculum coverage tool aside and then continue with the RATP that you have, because now the RATP doesn't speak to the tool that we have. We are aware of that, colleagues, and then we are going to rectify that. But for you not to be confused, please put it aside and then make sure that you use the RATP so that it can guide you, but only when you are finished with the project. I think, and I'm sure that I'm making sense in there. So coming to the readers now, colleagues, remember when we did our mediation for the group guided, I made mention of the fact that we need to ask at the beginning of the year, because I did that last year. I requested that colleagues buy the readers. So these readers are going to be helping you in doing your group guided. So, but with the PSRIP, that is something different. You are not going to be buying the readers, because now in the packages of the worksheet, your worksheet are scripted in such a way that they give you the reading for the group guided. So you are not going to be having the readers in your classroom, but you can have the readers in your classroom for your intervention. But with the group guided that I'm requesting you to do in the classroom, with the PSRIP, it's being scripted for them. But with the schools that are not doing PSRIP, you are requested to actually have the readers so that you can actually give your learners when you are having the group guided. So these readers are divided into levels. So the levels ones, you know that level ones are those learners that are reading at level 1, and then we have the level 2s, and then we have the level 3s up until whatever reader is, because some of the readers end up to level 7, but your foundation phase are the ones that are going to be helping you, or are the ones that can help you with the readers, colleagues. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can actually ask your foundation phase. They can help you with the readers. So now we have the guidelines, documents, which are the circulars and policies, and then the circulars that are very important when we visit schools. For now, during our COVID. Remember, we have circular S13 of 2020 and then circular 1 of 2021. Those circulars speak to the what? Speak to the assessment, and then they also speak to the ATP. So those circulars are very important, colleagues. I'm not saying other circulars are not important, but I'm saying now we are so particular with these circulars, the 2 circulars when we come for a visit, because they are the ones that are guiding you in the ATP, in the revised ATP, and they are the ones that are guiding you in as far as the assessment is concerned. So we are particular with those circulars, but over and above that, other circulars are very important as well. And then the policies, despite the fact that you are doing PSRIP, you still have to have the policies in the book. Sorry, in the files. You still have to have your CAPS document. You still have to have the NPA in your files. You still have to have the NP4R in the files, colleagues. So we are requesting you that you need to have all the policies in your files. And then the whole charts, colleagues, remember, we were those schools that were doing GPLMS, they were given the wall charts. And then those wall charts are very important because they help in as far as the reading is concerned. They help in as far as the listening and speaking is concerned, because you can actually use those charts to have your listening and speaking questions based on those charts, because some of the learners can actually learn better if they see things. So those charts are very important. If you find that those charts are actually in line with the theme that you are doing, so those charts are going to help you to do what? The listening and speaking. You can actually have questions out of those charts. Remember, those charts are not written anything, so you can use them in any theme that you have. So even with the PSRIP, if you want to emphasize something, if you have those charts in the classroom, you can make use of those charts. So I indicated to when I spoke to the grade 4 to say now there are charts there at the teacher development at Indondo. So I'm going to be going there, and then I will request you to come fetch those charts, because I spoke to the people there at the teacher development to request if they can give us those charts. But I'm going to be managing them. I'm going to be handing them out, but I will tell you when am I going to be handing them out, so that you can come and take those charts, colleagues. So those charts are very important. Don't put them on the windows to actually block the sun for you, because they are very important. Put them on the board, put them in the front, so that your learners can learn from them. They are so beautiful. They are the same as the DBE, so you can use them. They are so beautiful, colleagues. Please use them profitably. Then we have the PSR resource and material. Remember, the PSRIP colleagues were given material, especially the ones that started in 2019, the 2020 and 2021. The one that are not having the hard copies are the one, this cohort of teachers that are actually doing the PSRIP now in 2022. It's just unfortunate we haven't received the hard copies. It's only the few schools, because now the NRC schools, they are the ones that receive the hard copies. But the ones that are not NRC, they didn't receive the hard copies, but we gave you, have uploaded the soft copy of the material, colleagues, colleagues. Please make use of those materials. Remember, the scripted lesson plan for the PSRIP, you are not supposed to be using the ATP, the RATP, if you are to use the scripted lesson plan. If you are doing the PSRIP, you are not supposed to be following the ATP, the RATP, because now that is embedded already. It's just unfortunate because now it was not revised, because it was done before the time of COVID. But you have to follow your scripted lesson plan. It will be just unfortunate for you, because now it's not the same as the normal English teaching. With the PSRIP, it's not being revised. It is raw as it was before the time of COVID. So, but you have to follow it the way that it is. But what I'm requesting is you are not going to be following the RATP if you have scripted lesson plans. You are not supposed to be doing that. And then we have those resources, we have those worksheets we have those resources whereby we have the flashcards. Please make sure that you cut them out and then you laminate them, because now we are not going to have extra material anytime soon. So make sure that you keep whatever you have. The quiet colleagues, remember, we having again the quiet for, which is next week. We are going to have the quiet again. So I'm requesting those colleagues who've done the quiet last year, make sure that the resources that you were shown, make sure that you use those resources. Make sure that you actually use the methodology that you've been asked to use in as far as the quality is concerned. They showed you on how to teach learners using the WhatsApp group. So you can continue using that, colleagues. If you have children in your classroom that are at liberty to use their parents' phones, so you are also at liberty to actually make use of those methods that you were taught during the quiet. So for those colleagues that haven't done the quiet, I'm encouraging you to visit your DMS and then check on your quiet. And then again, for those who have started with the quiet, so the quiet is coming next week. I'm requesting that you register now before it closes. So register as soon as today or tomorrow, and then ask your HODs and your principal to do the latter process before you can be given the data. Remember, this is the data that we are registering for. So please do that. But if you didn't register, I'm going to be handing out the link. So if you want to use your own data, then you are at liberty to do that, colleagues. We are not saying even if you didn't register, you are not supposed to be attending the workshop. You can attend the workshop, but unfortunately, if you didn't register, you cannot receive the data from the teacher development. So the SciPELT, we had the SciPELT, we had those teachers that are new in the subject. We gave them the training during the holidays, a 4 days training. So unfortunately, we haven't received the files. Remember, we promised to give you the file. We haven't received the file. The file is still coming, but I've uploaded the presentation. So look at the methodology that we actually teach you on. Use those methods, colleagues. Please use them, and then make sure that you use them properly, like the way you were trained, colleagues. So we're requesting you to make sure that you use the method that you were shown in there. So moving along, colleagues, remember this is the monster that is standing in front of us. Colleagues were asking me to forward them the link. I've been forwarding the link to the groups. I've been forwarding the link every time when they ask me to forward the link. But now some of the colleagues were complaining to say now it is empty. And then I went back to it and checked, it wasn't empty. It's just that some of the colleagues might find it difficult to go through the link and then check as to whether how to open the link or how to find information in there. I'm going to be doing this practically on how to open this link and then on how to go about in finding our resources in there. So as you open the link that I have sent you, you are going to press on control, and then as you press on control, you will see a finger like structure pointing, and then you double click on that. After double clicking on that, colleagues, it will take time to open, but don't just be patient with it because it takes time to open. So it's still opening on my side. So it will open. So as soon as it opens, then we are going to see what is projected in front of us. And then I'm going to take you through to what you are supposed to be doing. So it has opened now. This is what we are going to be seeing after opening the link, colleagues. So we have different subjects in here for intermediate phase. Please don't, if you are teaching intermediate phase and senior phase, you will never find the senior phase stuff in here. It's only the intermediate phase for different subjects. So you are going to go to English and Afrikaans, and then double click, it will open. It says term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. If you are looking for stuff for term 1, you are going to press on term 1. If you are looking for stuff for term 2, you press here. But here we are in term 3. I'm going to double click in term 3 because we are in term 3. Now, if you are in term 3, now we are not in 2021, but if you are looking for stuff for 2021, you are going to click there, but we are here in 2022, we are going to click there. So this is what is in there, in term 2, sorry, term 3, 2022. This is what we have in there. So after today, by tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading the presentation. This one for PLG for grade 6, the grade 5, and the grade 4. So please check it in there, colleagues. After this presentation, you are going to find the presentation being uploaded in there. So this is what we have. So for the Thanksgiving, you are going to click here, colleagues, in the Thanksgiving, and then it will show. This is the Thanksgiving booklet. So in this Thanksgiving booklet, at the back of it, there is the registration form. So that is the registration form that I'm requesting you to use for your learners, to register your learners to enter for the Thanksgiving district competition. So you'll find the registration form in here, colleagues. We have the folder for project mediation. We have the folder for a PSRIP presentation for those schools that schools that are doing PSRIP. The presentation that we have. So for the presentation that is upcoming now this Saturday, I'm also going to upload after we have done the presentation. We have the competition for the competition again for this might be for LitVase, and then this is the tracking tool for PSRIP. And then this is our tracking tool for the normal for the English home language, and then for the Afrikaans EST, and then for the Afrikaans home language. So we are going to find it here. The one that I was talking about to say now, it is wrong. So, but it is here, colleagues. And then everything that you want, you will find it here. So I'm going to go back and then show you on how it is, colleagues. You are going to find it like this, colleagues. Remember, you are going to press, you are going to say control, and then a finger like structure will appear, and then you are going to move that finger straight to your link, and then double click on it. It will actually take you to this page. After it has taken you to this page, you go to the Afrikaans and English or any language that you want, and then you double click on it, and it is going to open like that. And then you go to term 3, and then it's going to open like that. And then you go to 2022, and then this is where you are going to be finding your information that you need. That is all about your resource link, colleagues. That is how you are going to be going or opening your resource link. So I'm going to close it so that we go back to our presentation, colleagues. Yeah, we are done with the link, colleagues, and we are now going to go now to the recap of the Thanksgiving. So it's the Thanksgiving for grade 6. Remember, I said to you, colleagues, it's good for other for English home language to be here, and then for the English file to be here, so that you can see on how other projects are being done in other languages, so that you can actually have it at your school. You can have it at your PLCs. Remember, I'm still going to ask that we still revive our PLCs. I spoke to you about the PLCs. I'm still going to talk to you in as far as those PLCs are concerned, colleagues, to say now we need to still form our PLCs. So you can actually have the competition among yourselves, colleagues, or you can have a competition at your school, colleagues. That is why I'm saying now, whatever we're projecting, it can be in Afrikaans. You need to have it in English at your school. It will be just unfortunate because you are not going to have it at the district level. We are not going to have it at the province, but you can actually have a competition at your school. And then you can even ask us to come and then see how you're doing it at your school. So it's not like when we're having it in Afrikaans, you are not supposed to be doing it in other languages. You can still do it in other languages, colleagues. You can look for the information and then take the information and then use it for other languages. Now it says now the aim of the Denkschram now. We are now at the Denkschram. It says now to focus group. Now we are going to be focusing on grade 6 first additional language learners. The aim is to get as many Africans grade 6 to come and then see how you're doing it at your school. So it's in Afrikaans, you are not supposed to be doing it in other languages. You can other languages, colleagues. You can look for the information and then take the information and then use it for other languages. Now it says now the aim of the Denkschram now. We are now at the Denkschram. It says now to focus group, still do it in we are going to be focusing on grade 6 first additional language learners. The aim is to get as many Africans grade 6, not like when we're having it to come and then see how you're doing it at your school. And in Afrikaans, you are not, so it's supposed to be doing it in other languages. You can other languages, colleagues. You can look for the information and then take the information and then use it for other languages. Now it says now the aim of the Denkschram now. We are now at the Denkschram. It says now to focus group, still do it in we are going to be focusing on grade 6 language learners. First additional. The aim is to get as not like when we're having it many Africans grade 6, see how you're doing it at your school. Come and then see in Afrikaans, you are not at your school. And so it's in other languages. You can supposed to be doing it other languages, colleagues. You can look for the information and then use it and then take the it for other languages. Now it says now the aim of the Denkschram now. We are now at the focus group Denkschram. It says now still do it in asking on grade 6. We are going to be focused language learners. First additional. The aim is to get as not like when we're having it many Africans grade 6, see how you're doing it at your school. In Afrikaans, you are not at your school. And so it's supposed to be doing it other languages, colleagues. In other languages, you can see information and then use it and then take the it for other languages. Now the aim of the Denkschram is now it says now to focus group Denkschram. It says now we are now at the discussing on grade 6. Still do it in we are going to be focused first additional language learners. The aim is to get as many Africans grade 6, not like when we're having it at your school. See how you're doing it in Afrikaans, you are not at your school. And so you can look for the other languages, colleagues. You're supposed to be doing it information and then use it and then take the aim of the Denkschram is it for other languages. Now it says now Denkschram. It says now to focus group now. We are now at the still do it in we are going to be focused first additional language learners. The aim is to get as many Africans grade 6 at your school. See how you're doing it in Afrikaans, you are not at your school. And so you can look for the other languages, colleagues. You're supposed to be doing it information and then use information and then take the aim of the Denkschram is it for other languages. Now it says now not like when we're having a Denkschram. It says now to focus group now. We are now at the still do it in we are going to be focusing on grade 6 language learners. First additional. The aim is to get as at your school. Many Africans grade 6 see how you're doing it at your school. And so you can look for the other languages, colleagues. You're supposed to be doing it information and then use information and then take the aim of the Denkschram is it for other languages. Now it says now not like when we're having a Denkschram. It says now we are now at the focus group. We are going to be focusing on grade 6 language learners. Still do it in first additional. The aim is to get as in Afrikaans, you are not many Africans grade 6 at your school. See how you're doing it at your school. And in other languages, you can look for the other languages, colleagues. So it's information and then use the aim of the Denkschram is it for other languages. And then take the not like when we're having a Denkschram. It says now we are now at the focus group. We are going to be focused language learners. Still do it in first additional. The aim is to get, as in Afrikaans, you are not many Africans grade 6, how you doing it at your school. And at your school in other languages, you can look for the info in other languages, colleagues. So it's on grade 6 information and then use the aim of the thanks gram it for other language and then take the images. Now it says now thanks gram. It says now not like when we're having it now. We are now at the we are going to be focused to focus group. Still do it in first additional. The aim is to get, as in Afrikaans, you are not many Africans grade 6, how you doing it at your school and at your school in other languages. You can look for the info in other languages, colleagues. So it's on grade 6 information and then use the aim of the thanks gram it for other language and then take the images. Now it says now not like when we're having a thanks gram. It says now we are now at the we are going to be focused to focus group. Still do it in first additional. The aim is to get, as in Afrikaans, you are not many Africans grade 6, how you doing it at your school and in other languages. You can look for the info in other languages, colleagues. So it's on grade 6 information and then use the aim of the thanks gram it for other language and then take the language learners. Now it says now thanks gram. It says now not like when we're having it supposed to be doing it. Now we are going to be focused to focus group now. We are now at the still do it in first additional. The aim is to get, as in Afrikaans, you are not many Africans grade 6, how you doing it. So it's on grade 6 information and then use language learners and then take the not like when we're having a thanks gram. It says now still do it in first additional. The aim is to get, as in Afrikaans, you are not now. We are now at the to focus group. Now we are going to be focused, supposed to be doing it, how you doing it. So it's many Africans grade 6 on grade 6. Now it says now information and then use language learners. Use it for other language and then take the not like when we're having it. The aim of the thanks gram first additional. Still do it in Afrikaans. You are not now. We are now at the aim is to get, as thanks gram. It says now other languages, colleagues. To focus group. Now we are going to be focused, supposed to be doing it. So it's how you doing it on grade 6, many Africans grade 6. Now it says now you can look for the info language learners. Use it for other language information and then use and then take the not like when we're having it. The aim of the thanks gram in other languages, you can at your school and then first additional at your school. Now we are now at the in Afrikaans. You are not. The aim is to get, as other languages, colleagues. Thanks gram. It says now we are going to be focused to focus group, supposed to be doing it, how you doing it. So it's many Africans grade 6. Now it says now you can look for the info for other language learners information and then use and then take the on grade 6, not like when we're having it in other languages. You can see the aim of the thanks gram at your school and then first additional at your school. Now we are now at the in Afrikaans. You are not. The aim is to get, as still do it in other languages, colleagues. Thanks gram. It says now we are going to be focused to focus group, supposed to be doing it, how you doing it. So it's come and then see many Africans grade 6. Now it says now you can look for the info for other language learners information and then use and then take the on grade 6, not like when we're having it. The aim of the thanks gram in other languages, you can at your school and then first additional at your school. Now we are now at the in Afrikaans. You are not. The aim is to get, as still do it in thanks gram. It says now we are going to be focused other languages, colleagues. You're supposed to be doing it to focus group, how you doing it, come and then see many Africans grade 6. Now it says now you can look for the info for other language information and then use language learners and then take the on grade 6, not like when we're having it. The aim of the thanks gram in other languages, you can at your school and then first additional at your school. In Afrikaans, you are not now. We are now at the aim is to get, as still do it in It says now we are going to be focused on other languages, colleagues. You're supposed to be doing it to focus group. So it's come and then see how you're doing it. Many Africans grade 6, you can look for the information. Now it says now it for other language learners. Information and then using on grade 6, not like when we're having education and then take the in other languages. You can see the aim of the Thanksgiving at your school and then at your school. First additional now we are now at the in Africans. You are not still do it in the aim is to get as we are going to be focused. It says now other languages, colleagues, to focus group supposed to be doing it. So see how you're doing it. Come and then see. You can look for the information. Now it says now many Africans grade 6 use it for other language learners. Information and then using on grade 6, not like when we're having education and then take the in other languages. You can see the aim of the Thanksgiving at your school and then at your school. Now we are now at the first additional. Still do it in we are going to be focused. It says now the aim is to get as supposed to be doing it to focus group. So see how you're doing it. Come and then see. You can look for the information. Many Africans grade 6 use it for other language learners. Information and then using on grade 6 and then take the in other languages. You can, it's not like when we're having it on the aim of the Thanksgiving at your school and then at your school. Now we are now at the first additional. Still do it in we are going to be focused. It says now the aim is to get as supposed to be doing it to focus group. So see how you're doing it. Come and then see. You can look for the information. Many Africans grade 6. Now it says now it for other language learners. Information and then using on grade 6 in other languages. You can and then take the not like when we're having it at your school and then the aim of the Thanksgiving at your school. Now we are now at the first additional. We are going to be focused. Still do it in Thanksgiving. It says now supposed to be doing it. The aim is to get as to focus group. So see how you're doing it. Come and then see. You can look for the information. Many Africans grade 6 use it for other languages. Now it says now other languages, colleagues. Information and then use language learners. On grade 6 and then take the not like when we're having it at your school and then the aim of the Thanksgiving at your school. First additional. Now we are now at the. We are going to be focused. Still do it in Thanksgiving. It says now supposed to be doing it. The aim is to get as to focus group. See how you're doing it. So come and then see. You can look for the information. Many Africans grade 6 use it for other languages. Now it says now information and then use language learners. Other languages, colleagues. Using on grade 6, not like when we're having education and then take the at your school and then the aim of the Thanksgiving at your school. First additional. Now we are now at the in other languages. You can still do it in Thanksgiving. It says now we are going to be focused. The aim is to get as supposed to be doing it to focus group. So see how you're doing it. You can look for the information. Many Africans grade 6 come and then see. Now it says now it for other language information and then use other languages, colleagues. Using on grade 6, not like when we're having education and then take the at your school and then at your school. First additional. Now we are now at the Thanksgiving. It says now still do it in we are going to be focused. Supposed to be doing it to focus group. See how you're doing it. You can look for the information. Many Africans grade 6 come and then see. Now it says now it for other language information and then use other languages, colleagues. Using on grade 6. So it's not like when we're having education and then take the at your school and then at your school. First additional. The aim is to get as now we are now at the Thanksgiving. It says now still do it in we are going to be focused. Supposed to be doing it to focus group. You can look for the info. Many Africans grade 6 to come and then see this. Now it says now information and then use other languages colleagues. So it's passing on grade 6 and then take the at your school and then at your school. The aim is to get as now. We are now at the Scrum. It says now still do it in we are going to be focused, supposed to be doing it to focus group. You can look for the info. Many Africans grade 6 to come and then see first additional languages. Now it says now information and then use other languages colleagues. So it's not like when we're having a passing on grade 6 and then take the at your school and then at your school. The aim is to get as now. We are now at the visit for other languages. How you doing it in Scrum. It says now we are going to be focused, still do it in supposed to be doing it to focus group. You can look for the info, come and then see first additional languages. Now it says now information and then use other languages colleagues. So it's not like when we're having it. Many Africans grade 6 passing on grade 6 and then take the at your school and then at your school. The aim is to get as it for other language now. We are now at the how you doing it in Scrum. It says now we are going to be focused, still do it in supposed to be doing it to focus group in other languages. You can look for the info, come and then see first additional languages. Now it says now information and then use other languages colleagues. So it's many Africans grade 6, not like when we're having a patient and then take the passing on grade 6 at your school. At your school and is it for other language now. We are now at the aim is to get as how you doing it in Scrum. It says now we are going to be focused, still do it in supposed to be doing it to focus group. You can look for the info, come and then see first additional languages. Now it says now information and then use other languages colleagues. So it's in other languages. It's not like when we're having a patient and then take the many Africans grade 6 at your school. Is it for other language at your school? And then now we are now at the aim is to get as how you doing it in Scrum. It says now we are going to be focused, still do it in supposed to be doing it passing on grade 6 to focus group. You can look for the info. Now the aim of the Scrum, come and then see first additional languages. Now it says now information and then use other languages colleagues. So it's in other languages. You can say and then take the, not like when we're having it language learners. Many Africans grade 6 at your school. At your school and is it for other language. In Africans you are not. The aim is to get as Scrum. It says now how you doing it, still do it in we are going to be focused, supposed to be doing it to focus grouping on grade 6. Now the aim of the Scrum, come and then see. You can look for the information. Now it says now information and then use first additional. So it's other languages colleagues. In other languages it's not like when we're having a patient and then take the many Africans grade 6 language learners at your school and is it for other language at your school. The aim is to get as in Africans you are not Scrum. It says now how you doing it. We are going to be focused, still do it in supposed to be doing it to focus grouping on grade 6, come and then see. Now the aim of the Scrum, you can look for the information. Now it says now information and then use first additional. So it's other languages colleagues. Not like when we're having it in other languages. You can say and then take the many Africans grade 6 language learners. Is it for other language at your school and then still do it in we are going to be focused how you doing it in Scrum. It says now in Africans you are not to focus group supposed to be doing it. The aim is to